Yankee News coming to you from the world famous Parkway Diner on this Monday, the 10th of March, the year of our Lord 2025. And a shout out to Steve Bannon, of course. One of the first things I want to do before I get started is to plug a children's book. Our friend Carol just got this printed, and it's available for everybody to buy. Scary Happenings, about the adventures of two little kittens. Very cute. Now, boy, and also I want to remind you, and it's also a story item here, that Tina Peters continues to be a political prisoner in the state prison system for the state of Colorado. So you need to still contact Governor Polis and to let him know that we resent, reject, and do not approve of your treating her as a political prisoner. The real lies were told by the other people, not by her. But we know what's going to happen when she gets out, so they're going to fight it. Nonetheless, Pam Bondi, our new Attorney General, has just submitted a point of inquiry, I guess you could say, about her status in the prison system in Colorado. We'll see if that leads to anything. We certainly hope so. Let me just put it up again, all right? Grab a screenshot of it and let them know it is time to let her go. So okay, in the meantime, go to Yankee T News, like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell Tong Time it is, how much deeper do you want to dig your hole? That's the question for you, buddy. So he's been in the news even more, leading this group of 20 attorney generals. You know, at some point you have to say to yourself, is Tong engaging in distraction? Is this his way of trying to get people to not really look? Yes, go ahead.
Keep going.
Yeah, to look at the state of Connecticut, which we will get to. You have to wonder. This is a bit much, a bit dramatic, a little over the top, Mr. Tong. Okay, and the theme, but we have the promo up, you should go check it out, is America perched on a knife's edge. Now, as I get into what is going on with Ukraine, oh my God, okay? I think this argument will become clear, but while that's going on, we have the events that have occurred in Syria, plus the sense that things are bubbling up in relationship to Iran. Now, and so all of that together can be dangerous. It's very easy to see how any of this could explode and drag other peoples into a larger conflict. So let me just start with this one. I think this is good. America and Ukraine prepare for brutal negotiations. Well, it's well put. You've seen Zelensky be very recalcitrant and insulting, perhaps hypocritical. And you know what? Putin exactly hasn't been a fair player in this either. No sooner is he talking peace than he launches another attack in the Kursk region, trying to kick the Ukrainians out. And it's like, you know, at least I want to say, stop what you're doing, get to the peace table, figure it out afterwards. But no, that's not how they see it. I have to guess that Putin really wants to gain as much advantage as he can, but somebody's also suggested that he's testing Trump by doing this. I don't know if that's such a good idea because, you know, Mr. Putin, you have to keep in mind that while there are people who understand Russian history somewhat and grasp the, quote, historical context in that region, there are others who become very low. And I think you could find America as a country becoming very unified against Russia. That has to be kept in mind. So that could take us any number of places. So then the other part here, we have this dust up, okay? So Musk makes a comment about Starlink holding up the Ukrainian military. But now people go off and misinterpret it as if he was making a threat. If anything, I'd say he's pointing out how fragile the Ukrainian military situation is. And it's made no better by all the things that Trump's been doing, you know, cutting off intelligence, cutting off supplies, stopping shipments, stopping money. Yeah, so Ukraine has a big issue on its hands. Anyway, so the next part I just want to bring up is this interesting article. I want to make the point, so I'm going through this stuff. I just remind you the links are there for you to read these things in more depth because there's so much, I'm just not going to have time to give all this stuff reasonable treatment. So anyway, Zelensky's illogic is on display here. When you look at this article, Zelensky explains why he banned talks with Russia. This dates back to January, but the man is just not thinking. I don't even know how else to say it. Meantime, Musk has also suggested that by sanctioning the oligarchs in Ukraine, that could bring an end to the war. So it just seems, it's weird. You got all these different legs kind of holding up the table for Ukraine, and you're knocking one after another out, and at some point Ukraine would fold, but that hasn't happened yet. But yes, so this is, the link is there for that. Then you might have heard, apparently this is the second time the Russians have done this, where they used a gas pipeline to stage a sneak attack. Now in this case, I guess it was a commando group or something. The troop size is not clear from the article. But they went through this gas pipe, and then you ended up coming out at to the rear of the lines that are of the Ukrainians in Kursk. So the surprise attack was launched, and supposedly Ukraine has been hurt, but there are also discussions that it turned out to be a disaster for the Russians. So who knows what's true? The fog of war, okay? American thinker has a piece, The Grand Prince of Kiev. Check it out, okay? And this is a pretty critical piece about him, I have to say. But we're stuck in a very difficult position. I'm going to save that for later. All right, I'm going to move on to the next thing here. So if you go to the Doge portal, you'll see this, okay? And it is the current record. He updates it, he says, every 5 days or so. $105 billion in estimated savings, and that amounts to $652.17 per taxpayer. Okay.
Last week it was like $1,400 per taxpayer.
Well, you know, there are questions about, I mean, this is what was up there today. So, so in all fairness, I think they find that they're dealing with a rather complex and messy system. Government accounting will take on a new, insulting meaning, I'm sure, after all this is said and done. All right, so there's another part we're going to come to with Social Security. Meantime, the other thing here that's really a real hammer blow for Ukraine, as well as the rest of Europe, U.S. to cease all future military exercises in Europe. Now, I regard this as highly significant. All right, so on the one hand, the message to Europe is, guys, the training wheels are off. You're going to have to be able to handle your own military needs without our intervention. Now, as one person put it, I probably brought this up before, somebody made the point, what you have is Western Europe with 500 million people asking the help of the United States with 350 million people to deal with a nation with 140 million people. Okay, so Russia, its GDP, I believe, is the same as the size of Italy. All right? So the rest of Europe feels that they just don't have what it takes to deal with Russia. There's something wrong with all of that. Meantime, Doge has exposed a dark site of the CIA. We may have heard of these, where people get remanded, never heard from again. That's right. But now in their digging, they found that. You can be sure they're going to find other things. Meantime, I want to bring up an oldie but goodie. All right? So we put up the link. This is for all medical information. There's a place called PubMed. It's part of the National Library of Medicine. They have millions upon millions of references from different medical journals, but that includes some opinion pieces, including this one. I'll just read the title, The Cancer of Bureaucracy, How It Will Destroy Science, Medicine, Education, and Everything Else. So I find it interesting that this dates back to 2010, okay, but everything that's in here is relevant. Go check it out. Meantime, one of my favorite opinion people is Daniel Greenfield. He's a great writer, let me tell you, Daniel Greenfield. So this one, it's about how the media killed itself. This gets into a larger question, ladies and gentlemen. When he talks about the media, we know that he's talking about liberals, progressives, leftists, dare I say socialists and communists. And what they all seem to have in common is some element of what we'll call a self-destructive impulse. So this article looks at how the media has been killing itself. We know that, what? For at least 10 or 15 years, a number of major media outlets have been firing people left and right. There was the case with the New York Times. Had to take its headquarters and rent out the top 8 floors because they didn't have enough money to pay the bills. And it's only gotten worse since then. So this is important to read, yes. And then this is the article I was referring to concerning Tina Peters. So they want to look at, see if I can find a key phrase here for you. All right, so it says here, Ms. Peters is currently incarcerated while pursuing a direct appeal of her underlying nonviolent convictions and combined 9-year sentence. All right, so Pam Bondi wants to, quote, look into it. Well, let's just say, Pam, you do a better job with this than you've been doing with the Epstein files. Just saying. Now we get into the goodies. Oh my goodness, geez Louise. Okay, here's the head. It says Doge uncovers $300 million given to children 11 years or younger. We would like some more information on this. So they found records of 5,593 loans for $312 million to borrowers whose only listed owner was 11 years old or younger at the time of the loan. I didn't know you could make loans to 11-year-olds without parental consent. Somehow they think you could do it. So this is very mysterious. Now, in the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, you may have been following the dust-up that came when Musk revealed, let's put it this way, you had at least one person over 300 years old still receiving Social Security benefits. That's older than the country itself. It's a problem. All right, so people started to say, there'd be certain, administrative procedures and rules for how data is managed and categorized, blah, blah, blah. But let me just leave you with this one troubling thought which Mr. Musk decided to emphasize. Okay, so here are the way it was set up. So I'm bringing it nice and close here. I don't know how well it looks. But what you see are different age brackets, okay, and the number of people in those age brackets presumably receiving benefits, right down to, wow, 360 to 369 years of age. Wow. For the 220 to 229 age range, 1,000 people. Amazing, amazing. They keep those secrets. Okay, here's the problem. There's a box, and what we'll call, just in terms of programming language, what you call it is the death flag. Okay, the death flag can either be set to true or false. If the death flag is set to be true, that means that this person, this record, this group is dead. If you set it to false, that means they're not dead, they're alive. Every last one of those is set to false, meaning the records consider them alive and they have continued to receive money. Now, there is another suspicion that that money may have been diverted for other purposes. All of this is pending further investigation. This is outrageous, but not nearly as outrageous as the next story I have to tell you about, which is Syria. Oh my God. Okay, let's set the tone here. It was Gabbard.
Tulsi.
Yes, good old Tulsi, who had years ago said that if Assad is thrown out of office, you will have violence across the country like nothing you could ever imagine, and it has come to pass. Okay? She was right. And cynically, people have said this is exactly what Obama and Biden wanted. So the headline is more than 1,000 people in Syria killed, most of them civilians. Yes, mostly all of them Christians, Alawites, which is a Christian sect. And yeah, no consequences, no consequences. So America is put once again in a very uncomfortable position if we're going to act either as the world's police or have a humanitarian bone in our body whatsoever. So far, we haven't heard anything. We'll see. That's all I can say right now is we'll see. All right, so there's that. Same story, more links. Now, this is a really good one, okay? The title, which got my attention, being a biology guy, is The Evolution of Corruption. All right, so basically the evolution of corruption in the way that it's set up here describes three types of corruption, if you will. First, they call it Biden level, low-level corruption, direct payments for influence, board positions, personal favors. That would be the standard stuff. But then the second level, where bigger money is involved, that would be Clinton-level corruption. So the Clinton Foundation. Now we're talking about many millions of dollars of corruption going on. Global initiatives, foundations, charity structures, foreign donations. Okay, now we're getting sophisticated. But the third level, the one that has emerged, the one that is worse than all the others combined, are what we call pop-up NGOs, pop-up non-governmental organizations, better known as 501c3 organizations. Okay, and now we're talking billions of dollars. And this is going to be complicated because there are a lot of investigations that have to be done of individual NGOs, and we're talking hundreds of these NGOs. So how we even get a handle on this? That's right, it's going to take time. That's right. Now, here's a weird one, which I thought was curious. For all you economics wonks out there who like to understand how the economy works, this article asked the question, should we be counting federal spending as a part of gross domestic product? Well, somehow I thought we always did, but apparently not, and there's a hot debate over the issue. Interesting. So the link is up for this, and I'll just say the heart of the argument is if you include government spending, you're including data that's easily manipulated and provides misleading changes in the state of the economy. So that's an argument for not using government spending as a part of GDP. Yet, on the other hand, the argument is that elements of government spending contribute to the economy. Now, it's one unrelated part that they didn't talk about here is R&D. There's a general truism that for every dollar spent on R&D, you get back $8 in economic growth. General rule of thumb that people like to do. Well, the federal government's a big investor in R&D, so their impact on the economy indirectly would count for something, all right? So this is worth reading. This is a definite think piece. Meantime, yep, so when I was asking Eric, what are some other hot things to get into? Yep, soldiers spying for the communist Chinese. Two of them, who, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, have Chinese names. Let's see if I can find those Chinese names. What are they doing? Okay, Xin Xiao and Li Qiang. Guys, why are they active duty? Why are you leaving them anywhere near equipment, systems, and information that would be of interest to the communist China? Why are you doing this? It's kind of stupid, but this is what happened. So they're under investigation. I should say that while the article mentions these two, there's a chance we're going to find out that these guys are connected to a much larger network. So that's something you're going to want to stay tuned to. Now, earlier, I did suggest that Mr. Tong is basically creating some diversions. So this last link, which I, again, highly recommend, is in the Connecticut Sentinel. It says, Connecticut, a train wreck in the making. Now, if you've been following me, you know that I am endlessly critical about how Connecticut is run. We're becoming an economic backwater. We don't keep up in terms of economic growth. The population is hardly growing at all. There's so many things that shows that the government, the Democrats who've run Connecticut for over 40 years, are mismanaging this state to a fare thee well, all right? And how should I say this? Allowing conditions to fester in a lot of areas, including housing, okay? That is just setting the stage for further decline in the state. So there it is, Connecticut, a train wreck in the making. Go check it out. And on that happy note, let's see if there's anything else. No, I'm done. Okay, see you later.